Hello, I still exist. I know it's been a hot minute since you've seen me, and you might be wondering what I've been up to. And aside from being sick and working on a few massive projects, I've also been grinding out Hollow Knight. I haven't fully completed everything yet, but it has taken up quite a bit of time in my life recently. Back in December of 2021, one of my friends gifted me Hollow Knight on Steam, and I didn't really give it much of a shot, but recently some of my friends convinced me to give it another shot, and I got a little addicted. And as a YouTuber who develops other games inside of Minecraft, this seems like a pretty cool project that I wasn't just gonna pass up on. So yeah, that's the project for today. In this video, I aim to create a Hollow Knight engine, where I recreate the first 3 areas of the game as well as the enemies and bosses you'll find in these areas, leaving nothing out. And on top of that, this entire project will be completely free for anyone to download once this video hits 10,000 likes. And this project took a few months off my life, so if you want to press that subscribe button while you're here, that would be pretty cool. Fun fact, when I said subscribe just now, the subscribe button went and did a cool little glow animation. Go check it out, it's pretty neat. Okay, enough stalling, let's get into this. So Hollow Knight is a pretty big game. There are over 20 different areas in Hollow Knight, and while I'm a bit crazy, I'm not that crazy. So in this video, I'm just going to be focusing on the first 3 you find in the game. These areas being King's Pass, Dirtmouth, and mainly the Forgotten Crossroads. While that doesn't seem like a lot compared to 20, it is also important to keep in mind that the Forgotten Crossroads is also the biggest area in the entire game. These areas together also have 42 rooms and 18 different enemies I'm also going to have to code, as well as 3 dynamic boss fights and 8 NPCs and 2 shops. Normally I aim to make my maps in a fully vanilla Minecraft, and for the most part I'm going to be doing the same thing, having all the code be made inside a Minecraft data pack. But to make the map a better experience to play, I'm gonna pack this thing with a bunch of optimization mods as well. And on top of that, an extra mod that makes it so you don't need to worry about the settings. And lastly, another custom mod that edits the Minecraft physics a bit to feel more like Hollow Knight's gameplay. More on all that later though. With all that covered, let's get started on this project. When starting off one of these maps, the first goal is to make it a lot less like Minecraft and a lot more like whatever game is in question. For example, here the first goal will be to take Minecraft from a 3D game and turn it into a 2D platformer. The first step to achieve that will be locking the camera so that the player won't be able to move it. This is something I struggled with in the past, as I used to try to do it through commands, which would often give a stuttery effect when moving the camera by accident. But I stumbled upon a new method which works flawlessly and doesn't even require commands. You might be familiar with this neat bit of trivia about Minecraft, where if you push the FOV slider above or below its limit, it can eventually invert the camera and it'll be upside down. Well, this here is actually the key to locking the camera, because this same trick works with the built-in sensitivity slider. When pushing it past its limit, it will cause your mouse to invert, but that also means there must be a number where it causes the movement of the mouse to stop altogether. And after a bit of digging around, I found that that number is -65. When setting this to your sensitivity, it causes the camera to stop moving altogether. Next up is limiting the player's movement. By going into the keybinds in your settings, you can actually completely unbind a key by pressing escape. This allows us to remove all the features we don't want in the map. We can turn off sprinting, crafting, inventory, sneaking, but most importantly, the ability to move forwards and backwards. When putting ourselves in a world with this setup, it allows us to play Minecraft with a 2D type perspective. We'll touch more on this later though. Now let's get started on bringing the world of Hollow Knight into Minecraft. As mentioned before, I will be making King's Pass, Dirtmouth, and the Forgotten Crossroads. But before I can build the world, we need to start with a more game dev type step. Most 2D games have the art separate from the actual collision the player stands on. Hollow Knight does the same thing. So we need to start by making the collision first. To understand the map, I started doing some research to figure out as much about how the map worked as I could. This led me to watching a 40-minute video by Mossbag, which went into detail about the Hollow Knight map and the inconsistencies and things to look out for. My original plan was going to be to make it all connected, but after watching this video I quickly realized that wouldn't be possible due to the map just not lining up at all. However, this video also has a linked website version of the map that was gone over in the video, which is fairly high quality. I couldn't use it to build collision because of said inconsistencies, but I could use it for future detailing. I was able to find another map online which had all the rooms separated, but this was fairly low quality, so it wouldn't be good for detailing. However, this did work for building up the collision, so I took screenshots of every room on this lower quality map and put them into Photoshop. I then used a grid to scale out how I would build it in Minecraft. Minecraft. In order to make the collision match up as best as possible, I used a combo of blocks, slabs, stairs, and glass panes to make it match up to the best of my ability. After the base of every room was built, I went and added a 12 block border around each room to make it so you couldn't see into one from the other. With the collision in place, we actually need to put a build on top of it. I started by making a bunch of different textures for different stones using the Hollow Knight colors, as well as some tall grass, flowers, dripstone, and plenty of other blocks. Using the high-resolution map website, I started to go in and detail all the rooms. The progress for the terrain went like the following. I started with the blocks that would appear that you could stand on, like floor, walls, and all the platforms. After I have it the way I want it, I add the voids off to the sides. Rather than just using a boring black, I made a foggy, dark stone-like texture to fill in the walls. After that, I go back and add smaller details to the foreground, like grass, spikes, and fences. Lastly, I needed to make the backgrounds. For each room, I made a big box behind them and used Axiom to decorate and detail a nice setting for each of them. This entire build process was by far the most time-consuming part of the project, as it took me around an hour for each room with 40 different rooms I needed to make. With all the terrain in place, the next step that was needed was to add the various structures such as the town in Dirtmouth, the black egg, the hot spring, and a bunch of others. Since I'm not the best builder, my friend Sammy came on to help by building up all the structures around the map. This includes the town of Dirtmouth, the black egg temple, the ancestral mound, Salubra's hut, Sly's hut, the hot spring, and the arena for False Night. While some of these are strictly visual, a bunch of these structures have greater meanings and are buildings that you can go inside of to enter a mini area, some being bigger than others. Concerning the structures you can enter, we can talk more about them in a later section of the video. But I can't go any farther without bringing up one of the most important parts of a game, and that's the sound design. This is something that Hollow Knight gets near perfect, and it can't truly feel like Hollow Knight without having the proper sounds and music. As far as the sounds are concerned, I found a Google Drive zip file on a Reddit containing every sound effect in the game. I grabbed the ones I needed and used an online website to convert them into OGG files. These are compressed audio files that Minecraft can read inside of a resource path. With all the sound effects in the game, I would add them to the various locations they would be needed as I go through and code the map. But even more important than the sound effects is the music. The music sets the tone and feeling for each area in the game, and any good game has a good OST to go with it. And since there are a few issues with putting the music directly into Minecraft due to issues with looping, we got the one and only No Block Matt back on to help with this project by making the entire section of the OST in Minecraft No Blocks. This includes 7 songs fully hand converted into Minecraft, which fixes all of the issues the regular files would have, and just adds to the Minecraft feel of the map that much more. You will be able to find all these songs over on Matt's channel in the description and in the end card of this video. Next up is making a character controller to run around on the map. I'm also going to use a new method for making this guy. There are a lot of small special things that make the knight unique in his movement that I wanted to try to recreate. The first thing I wanted to make was the pressure sensitive jump. In Hollow Knight, this is one of the main things that make it truly feel like you have control over the player, and I wanted to try to recreate this in Minecraft. So here's how I pulled it off. I started by tracking when the player pressed the jump button. Then I applied a quick levitation effect that moved the player as high as a full jump in Hollow Knight. When letting go of the spacebar, I have it quickly remove this levitation effect. That way when you let go of your spacebar, it does a short jump, while holding it in longer it does a higher jump. This recreates the effect pretty well. After adding in some smoke particles and sound effects, this is ready to go. And this is the hard part out of the way, as I've done everything else in 2D engines before and it isn't that hard. First thing is tracking if the player is moving left or right. This is simple enough to track by summoning 2 invisible armor stands to the left and right of the player. When moving left and right, we can simply track which armor stand is closer and mark them as facing left or right. This will be important for adding animations onto the character later as well as combat. However, in Hollow Knight you can also look up and down. I will be using a new keybind for both W and S that track a scoreboard to track which direction the player is looking. When not pressing anything, this value will be set to 0. When holding W it will be set to 1, and when holding S it will be set to -1. Lastly, I wanted to recreate Hollow Knight's physics. Minecraft handles your control while in the air very differently compared to Hollow Knight.
For example, while in Hollow Knight, you can change directions mid-air and stop on a dime. In Minecraft, there's a load of air resistance and drag that prevents you from doing the same thing. To fix this issue, I brought on the developer of the Minecraft Gravity mod, Kerman, to come on and edit the mod parameters to be one-to-one with the way physics work in Hollow Knight. And while it takes some getting used to, it's very accurate and snappy to play. This edits the Minecraft physics to remove a bunch of air drag, letting you jump farther through the air while jumping left and right. As when doing this normally, it's just a very small hop to either side. This also removes any drag when switching directions in air, allowing you to switch and face which way you're looking by pressing the directional key rather than having to hold it for like 3 seconds before the physics finally feel like catching up. We also removed the cap on how fast the player can fall and any momentum kept after finishing a jump, allowing you to let go and fall right to where you were. Having these physics also open up other skills to us, like having the double jump and dash, though we don't really need those till much later in the game, so they won't be needed for this part of the map. But since they're here, we can make them rewards for simply beating the map. And at the moment, that's the basic character controller done.
Now let's add a model for the knight on here and give him some animations. In Blockbench, I made this small model for the knight and gave him this little texture. In Minecraft, you can put any block in the game on the player's head. This is how I'll be getting the guy on there. I'll move him down to the player's feet, and since the head will be locked in place, we don't need to worry about him moving around with the player head. Simply making the player invisible makes it look like we're controlling the player. After this, I then go and make a bunch of animations for the guy. Having him running, looking up and down, being in the air, landing, taking damage, and attacking. Using all the values we set earlier with the character controller, I start to map each model and animation to each of these values, giving us a little dude running around in the game. But this is where I ran into a small problem. This dude is tiny, and the player's hitbox is pretty tall. This will lead into some problems with the collision, as the knight will be bumping its head onto things he shouldn't. This is where I found the mod Pekui. This mod is super handy, allowing us to customize all sorts of things with our player in the game. Most importantly, it allows us to change the size of our hitbox in game, but it also gives us the ability to change the eye height of the player, which is super useful. This allows us to raise up our camera so the view isn't being half wasted by most of it being in the floor. This also allows us to recreate that neat detail in Hollow Knight where holding the up button moves the camera up and holding the down button moves the camera down. Another small thing which I found super useful was the ability to move out the F5 camera. Normally I'd just increase the FOV so we can see more of the screen, but it stretches the sides of the screen and looks super warped. This allows us to keep the FOV on normal but still pull back the camera, and this looks super clean. Think of these additions as a small extra thing to chuck on to make everything look a little nicer. For those of you who are really against mods, you can still remove it, but the camera will just look a little more warped and it'll feel a bit weirder to play with the collision not matching up to the player exactly. But I wouldn't recommend that at all, as these mods are super simple and only change mechanics of the game and thus create no extra lag, making it pretty silly to not use them. Next thing to code in would be the combat. By putting an interaction entity in front of the player and have it follow the player around, it gives us an easy way to track both left and right clicks. A simple left click will serve as an attack. When clicking it, it'll summon an attacking particle in the direction the player is facing, as well as a short animation of the knight swinging his nail. To detect what the nail hits, every time you attack based on the direction you're looking, it summons a bunch of armor stands that will act as the hitbox of the attack. If an enemy or object comes into contact with one of these armor stands, it'll deal a damage command to the entity. At the moment, the nail will only deal 5 hearts of damage, and based on how much health this object has, it can either get destroyed immediately or take a few hits to go away. When hitting something in Hollow Knight, the player also takes a bit of knockback. I achieve this effect by summoning a bunch of slimes next to the player which bounce them backwards. A special effect of hitting something while looking downwards is that it'll perform a pogo jump. I achieve this by just making it so instead of knocking the player back when attacking downwards, it makes the player do another jump, giving a bouncing effect. This allows you to do more in-depth parkour, like pogoing off spikes to reach other areas you wouldn't be able to otherwise. There are various abilities the knight can get throughout the game. There is one ability you can get in the Forgotten Crossroads, which is actually the one thing you need to leave and continue on with the game. This is the Vengeful Spirit. Right-clicking it will use the ability and it will consume a third of your soul meter to charge a powerful blast which does 3 times the damage of your nail. It also has massive range. In order to get it, you'll first need to beat the main boss of the area, aka the False Knight. You get it by going to the next room and entering this structure called the Ancestral Mound. When entering, you can talk to this guy, the Snail Shaman.
After talking to him, he'll give it to you and then send you into a dungeon to test it out. This can be used to take out enemies who pull up a shield when you get too close to them, as well as just being a good ranged attack. There's a lot of cool stuff to talk about when it comes to the Snail Shaman and the Ancestral Mound, but we can talk more about that later. For the other abilities you can get, as mentioned earlier, there will be a double jump and a dash when beating the map. For now, the double jump can be used to reach some areas that you shouldn't be able to yet, so I'll just put some invisible walls in these areas to prevent you from just walking out of the map. The dash doesn't do too much to allow you to enter new areas besides one, which I'll be blocking off, but instead will give you greater control over the movement in this context. Neither of these abilities cost anything to use. When using one of these two abilities, you can't use it again until you touch the ground. However, when pogoing off spikes or another enemy, it resets your double jump and dash to use it again, which would be super useful. The double jump in the full game is called the Monarch Wings with a cool sound and animation, but I won't quite be coding those in yet, because it's a lot of effort for something we don't really need yet. But that's all the abilities that are important for this area of the game and that are going to be included in this map. So let's move on to the next section. You start with 5 hit points in Hollow Knight. These are called masks. When getting hit or falling on a hazard, you will lose a mask. You can regain these masks by using 33 soul by using your focus ability, which in this map is done by shifting. Holding this down will channel your soul into your masks. There are also some enemies in the game which can deal double damage, however there's none in the Forgotten Crossroads, so we don't need to worry about that. At the starting area, you can attack this thing right here, which will drop these little dudes called life seeds. Killing these guys will give you life blood, which works similar to how golden hearts do in Minecraft. However, these don't go away until you take damage or save the game. When running out of masks, you will die and leave behind a shade. Dying will cause you to respawn at your last save point. This shade is a ghost version of you that can fly around and go through walls. Going near it will play a music box over the regular soundtrack, and getting closer to it will cause it to start chasing after you. It will also mimic whatever attacks the player has unlocked at this point in the game. Killing it will give you your money back as well as your full soul container. Speaking of soul, let's talk about the soul meter. The soul meter sits to the left of your hotbar in our version of the game. It slowly fills up as you damage enemies throughout the game. The soul container can hold up to a max of 99 soul at a time, but can be increased later in the game, although that isn't something you'll be able to do in this map. When hitting an enemy, it'll increase your soul by 11. You can use 33 of your soul at any time to either cast a spell or use your focus ability. When holding the focus ability, it'll drain 33 of your soul and give you back 1 health. During this time, you are stuck in place and cannot attack. Other spirit attacks don't have any charge time, and you can activate it anywhere as long as you have enough soul. There are some charms that will change the strength of your spells and how you gain soul. However, there's only one that matters in this map. You can get more into detail later, but when it's equipped, you gain 14 soul when hitting an enemy instead of 11. However, when dying, if you still have your shade alive, it will cause your soul container to be fractured. This removes a third of your storage, allowing you to only hold up to 66 soul. When killing the shade, its soul will be drained back into you, causing your soul container to repair itself. Other than hitting an enemy, the only other way you can get soul is by going to a hot spring. There's only one of these located in the Forgotten Crossroads, but staying in the water will cause your soul to go back up. There are plenty of other uses for soul later in the game, but none that we need to worry about in this map. In order to save the game, you'll need to find a save station. In this map, these are represented by benches. There are 4 benches you can find around the map, and sitting at them will save your spot. There will only be 1 save file per world, but that's no issue because you can always duplicate the save file as many times as you'd like since it's just a Minecraft world. When sitting at a bench, it resets your health back to max, although this will remove any lifeblood you have. When resting, it'll play a cute animation of the knight jumping onto the bench with some particles. Any movement will let you get off the bench. Dying will cause you to spawn at the bench where you last sat at. When sitting at a bench, you'll be able to swap out or equip any charms that you have. Benches are only located in rooms without any enemies, so you don't need to worry about being attacked while sitting at one. Also, due to the backup system put in place, you will be able to leave and rejoining the map without needing to worry about anything breaking. Because of this, if anything breaks, leaving and re-entering the game will fix it. There are a few charms you can find in the starting area of the game. The first one you find right at the start of the game in King's Pass. This is where you'll find the Fury of the Fallen. When at 1 health, this charm will increase your damage by a huge 75%. After getting the Vengeful Spirit, you can find the Soul Capture charm in the chest in a dungeon. This increases the amount of soul you gain per hit. When freeing the shopkeeper Sly, he'll sell you the Gathering Swarm and Stalwart Shell charms. The Gathering Swarm allows Geo left on the ground to gravitate towards the player, that way you don't need to worry about leaving any behind. And the Stalwart Shell gives you extra iframes. Lastly, there is the Wayward Compass Charm, which you can get from the other shopkeeper. This shows you your location on the map. These use up a variation of charm slots which you have. You start with 3 in the game, and you can't get any more in just the Forgotten Crossroads. You can select and choose which charms fill up the charm slots at the benches. There are quite a few enemies located around the map. There are the Shade and Light Seeds like mentioned earlier, but there's several others as well. In the starting area, you can find 2 different enemies. There are the Crossroads, which are real simple. They just walk forward until they reach a wall or floor they can't pass and then turn around and walk the other way. Walking into these guys will cause you to take damage. This isn't Mario, you can't just jump on them, you'll need to attack them. There's also one other enemy in the starting area, that being bench flies. These are just a more simple version of the Shade. Getting near one of these guys will cause them to lock on and start chasing after you. The only real difference is that these guys cannot go through blocks. They also have a much shorter range. They will also play a short animation when noticing you. Once you get into the Forgotten Crossroads, you'll find a few more enemies. Right away, you'll notice these guys, who are called pigticks. They cling onto the platform they're on and walk around it, including the walls and roof. It was tricky to get them to circle around everything, including slabs, but I eventually figured it out. Next up, we have these little Gruzzer dudes. They just move around and bounce off walls. They don't really do much, they just kind of fly in circles. Next up, we have the Aspids. With the Aspid Hunter, instead of diving at the player, they just kind of hover and spit this infection acid at you. With the Aspid Mother, when it's killed, it turns into 2 smaller Aspid hatchlings. It also occasionally spats these out at you. They aren't much of a threat since you can just kill them with 1 hit. You can also find these big Huskards. They're pretty simple. They can jump and send a shockwave at you or attack with their club. However, they're pretty fast and have the most health out of any generic enemy, so they're definitely going to be a little tough to take down. You can also find 4 different husk bugs roaming around. They all have pretty basic attacks. Starting with the Wandering Husk. He just kinda wanders around, and when you get near him or attack him, he'll run slightly faster. There's the Leaping Husk, which is just the Wandering Husk, but it also jumps. There's the Hornhead Husk, which is just like the Wandering Husk, but this one has a horn on its head, so it runs slightly faster. And lastly, there's the Warrior Husk. This one is the only real threat, as it has a shield and can fight back. When trying to attack it head on, it'll hold up the shield, so you gotta jump behind it when it's trying to attack you. It's not that complicated, but it is definitely the trickiest out of the 4. Lastly, there are the Elder Boulders and the Boulders. The regular boulders just kinda roll around on the ground, but don't spawn in naturally. The only place they can spawn in naturally is the Ancestral Mound. The Elder Boulders are invulnerable to melee attacks and must be defeated by use of the Vengeful Spirit. When getting close to it, it'll pull up a shell, and when the shell is pulled up, it won't be attacking you. When standing a distance from it though, it'll spit out acid and occasionally spit out boulders at you. These boulders is what you can use to get the soul to take them down. An Elder Boulder is also blocking off the end of the map, which is why you need the Vengeful Spirit to continue onwards into the next area. So in this map, you'll essentially need to take this guy down to complete it. There are also these golems around the map. You can't really fight them, they just hang out. However, they can be annoying if you don't know how to traverse around them. Also, real quickly, I want to give a huge thanks to Ashes Real for coming on and modeling and texturing all the models you see for all the enemies in the game. If you want to check him out, his Twitter will be linked in the description. In order to buy charms and other items throughout the game, you'll need to get this game's currency. The currency in Hollow Knight is called Geo. Geo can be found by dropping from an enemy upon death. You can also find it in various chests around. On top of that, there are also massive rocks filled with Geo that you can use to farm money. When dying, you'll lose your Geo, but you'll be able to reclaim it upon killing your Shade. This Geo can be used to buy things from shops as well as opening up the Stag Station, which acts as this game's fast travel. It can also be used to buy the map. There are 2 different shops in this area of the game. Both are closed at the start and you'll need to unlock them. You unlock Zelda by finding her husband Cornifer and buying a map from him. We'll talk more about him later though. She can sell you the Wayward Compass charm as well as any maps you might have missed while exploring the game. She can also sell you a quill which you can use to fill out the map. But this isn't in the Minecraft map quite yet as it's tricky for me to code, and since there's not really much of the map to explore, it's not that useful yet. The other shopkeeper is Sly. You can free Sly by defeating one of the bosses where you'll find him underneath inside of a house. When he opens his shop, he can sell you 2 charms as well as a bunch of other various expensive junk. Apart from the shopkeepers, there are a few other NPCs scattered around the map. You'll find the first NPC in Dirtmouth. His name is Elderbug. He's also the only guy in this town at the start of the game. He doesn't do much, but you can have a chat with him. He'll drop a lot of lore to you about the town of Dirtmouth and the kingdom of Hollownest. You can find Quarrel in the Black Egg Temple. He doesn't do much either, but he's more important later in the game. When talking to him, he rambles on about the Black Egg and how it might have more importance than you'd think. There is also the Elder Grub, who will reward you for saving his little grubber dudes.
We'll talk more about the Grubs in a minute though. In the Stag station, you can also find the Stag by paying the station toll. Later in the game, he'll be able to fast travel you through different locations, but since at the moment there's only one location, he just kinda stands there and looks cool. Lastly, there's the Snail Shaman who we talked about a little earlier. He's located in the Ancestral Mound and will give you the first spirit in the game. In Hollow Knight, you can also come back to him at various points throughout the game and he can talk to you about different things throughout it. It's just a bunch of lore drops, really. Lastly, we have Cornifer. Cornifer is found near the start of the Crossroads, underneath this big platforming area. Here, he'll sell you a map for 30 Geo after chatting with him. This is the map of the Forgotten Crossroads. Normally in Hollow Knight, you need to hold down a button to view the map, but in this version of the map, I just put it in the bottom corner, similar to how regular Minecraft maps work. In the actual game, there's this item called the Quill, which you can use to update and fill out more of the map as you explore. But right now, that's a bit complicated for me to code, and it doesn't really do much as we only have one area, so we'll be skipping that for now. When getting the map, it's only partially filled out, and normally you'd need the Quill to fill it out. However, there's actually more than enough of the map revealed for you to go through and complete the area. There's 3 main important landmarks on this map. There's the Black Egg Temple at the top, a little Cornifer head where you buy the map, and a False Knight head where you'll fight the final boss. This should be more than enough to navigate to these areas. At the moment, you can't see yourself on the map, but when purchasing the Wayward Compass Charm, you can track your location. This will be shown by a little Hollow Knight head that will be running around the map. As mentioned earlier, when exploring through the Forgotten Crossroads, you can find these little dudes called Grubs, and you'll also find they're trapped in these little jars. There's a load of Grubs in Hollow Knight, but only 5 in the Forgotten Crossroads. Each of these guys have an obstacle blocking you from getting to them, and your goal with these guys is to free them. The first Grub you'll find is on the far right of the map. He'll be guarded by a Husk Guardian, and taking this guy down will allow you to free your first Grub. The second one will be down and located to the left of where the first one was. In the actual game, you need to dash to free this Grub. However, I moved him a little closer so you're able to reach him in this map. However, if I were to ever update this map and add Green Path, I would move him back to his original location. The third Grub you'll find down in the bottom left of the map. After fighting off these Aspen Mothers, you'll find him at the end of this room. After doing the parkour and freeing the third Grub, you can start to make your way right. After fighting the Gruz Mother and making your way up and to the left, you'll find the fourth Grub in this room with a bunch of spikes. Leaping over these spikes and doing the parkour will score you your fourth Grub. After getting this guy, going back up and to the left, you'll find a breakable wall guarded by 2 Aspids. Defeating these Aspids will score you your 5th and final Grub. With all of these Grubs freed, you can make your way back up to the top left of the map where you'll find the Grub Father. He'll reward you with a bunch of free Geo for saving all of his little babies. There's some other items he'll give you in the game, however, I'm not quite worried about adding that yet. There are a few achievements you'll be able to get while exploring the map. This is just to give you a little extra something to do. Here is a list of the achievements and how to get them. Starting with the achievement Focus. You can get this by using your Focus ability to heal. You get the Shadow achievement by dying and killing your first Shade. You can get the Captured achievement by freeing your first Grub, and the Freedom achievement by freeing all of the Grubs. You'll get Slaughter by killing your first enemy, and you'll get But No One Came by killing each type of enemy once. You can get the achievement Extinction by killing the Brooding Mawlek. You'll also get the achievement Meet the Children by killing the Gruz Mother. By defeating the False Knight, you'll get the achievement Faker and King of Combat for defeating all 3 bosses. You can get the Cartographer achievement by purchasing the map, and you'll get the achievement Ring by using the bell to summon the stag. You can also get Empty Town by talking to all NPCs, and Spirit's Blast by getting the Vengeful Spirit. Lastly, you can get the achievement Shield by beating the Ancestral Mound area. These don't really give you anything, but are just a nice bit of extra polish to add on top. Also, I doubt these achievements will be permanent if I continue to make the map. At the moment, this is just a small area that we need to make smaller scale achievements to make sure it's nice and full. Otherwise, there'd only be like 3 achievements you can get. If we do end up making more of the game though, we'll standardize these achievements to match with the ones on Steam. With all that covered, we're now going to do a brief walkthrough of all 3 locations to give you an idea of what the finished map will look like, and then we'll get through to talking about the bosses and how I made them. This starts with King's Pass. This is the starting area of the game. When starting the game, you can go left into the secret area to get some secret Geo before moving forwards. After breaking down these doors and taking out your first enemies, you'll find some lifeblood. Then you can do this parkour and jump down to get your first charm. After circling around and making your way back up, you can take down this door and exit this area to move on to the second area of the game. After completing King's Pass, you enter Dirtmouth. There isn't a crazy lot to do here. There is a bench in the center of the town along with Elderbug who you can have a small chat with who drops some lore onto you. After beating the map, you can come back and enter 2 of these buildings to use as the shops. These shops are ran by Sly and Zelda. After you're done in Dirtmouth, you can make your way to the right of the town and jump down this well. After dropping down this well, you'll enter the first main area of the game, the Forgotten Crossroads. This is a pretty big area. In fact, it's the biggest area in the game, but here's the fastest route to go through to explore everything. Making your way to the right, you'll find the Black Egg Temple and have a quick chat with Quirrell. Making your way farther to the right and taking down all these enemies, you can find and defeat the Husk Guard, which will allow you to free your first grub. Making your way down into the left, you'll find your second grub. Continuing to make your way to the left, you can find the first boss of the game. In order to get to this boss, you'll need to do some tough parkour, but after defeating this boss, you'll get a crap ton of Geo. After making your way out of the battle arena, you can buy a map from Cornifer. Making your way down and farther to the left, you can grab your third grub. Then making your way to the right, you can defeat the Aspid Arena. Defeating this Aspid Arena will unlock the hot spring and the bench that comes with it. Then you can make your way through the Gome Tunnel and to the right. There you'll find the second boss. After defeating them, you can free Sly from his house and make your way up, finding your fourth grub. Once freeing that grub, making your way farther up, you can take down these Husk Warriors and find this breakable wall. After breaking this wall, you can fight off some Aspids and free your fifth and final grub. Going down, you can make your way to the Stag Station and unlock a Nuller bench. After this, you can make your way up and to the left and find a Nuller Husk Guard. He's just here to guard the final boss. After taking him down and going and beating the final boss, you can make your way to the Ancestral Mound and get the Vengeful Spirit spell. After going through the dungeon, you can make your way up and to the left and take down the Elder Boulder. After beating this guy, you can beat the map. This is just a very small walkthrough to show off the map, and a more detailed playthrough will be posted on my second channel. Finally, we have the bosses. In this map, the three bosses I'll be coding are the Gruz Mother, Brooding, Mawlek, and the False Knight. Starting off with the Gruz Mother. This is the most simple boss fight. When going down to the bottom right of the map, you'll find her sleeping on the ground. Trying to walk past her will reveal a gate that you're not able to get past. Attacking the sleeping Gruz Mother will cause her to wake up and the fight to begin. Her attack patterns are pretty simple. She starts by flying around for 5 seconds. Then she does one of 2 charge attacks. Her flying code is just the same as the regular Gruzzer flying AI, but slowed down and has a stronger emphasis on flying forwards rather than up and down. The first charge attack is a simple dive at the player. She'll charge for half a second and then dash wherever the player was standing during the charge. After hitting a wall, the attack ends and the 5-second loop begins. The other charge attack is a smashing attack. The Gruz Mother will dash down and start crashing up and down off the roof, moving a little bit forwards each time. This happens 8 times and then returns back to the regular 5-second loop again. The Gruz Mother has 90 health, meaning it takes 18 hits to take her down. And if you have the Vengeful Spirit spell, it only takes 6 of those to take her out. After beating her, she'll fall to the ground. After a few seconds, she'll start to shake and then explode into 7 baby Gruzzers. Once beating these Gruzzers, the gate will open up and the fight will be over. Next up, we have the Brooding Mawlek. This guy has a bit more complicated attacks. He has 4 in total. You'll find him in the far left of the Crossroads after beating this platforming challenge. He'll be hiding in the background, and when you get close to him, he'll jump into the battle arena and the battle will begin. The Brooding Mawlek stands on this platform in the middle here, and during his regular attacks, he'll just walk back and forth for 5 seconds. For his first attack, he'll shoot acid in the direction of the player once every second. Hitting this causes you to take damage. This is pretty tricky to code, but I ended up using the same projectile code as Snowballs to pull off the effect. His second attack is for when you get too close to him. He'll lift up his arm claw thing and take a swipe at you. In the regular boss fight, he just does this on whichever side you're facing, but I was struggling to get this to work, so I just made him attack on both sides. It doesn't really change anything. He also has 2 charge attacks similar to the Gruz Mother. His first charge attack will cause him to shoot up enough acid to cover one side of the arena entirely. This just so happens to be whichever side you're standing on. In order to dodge this attack, you'll have to quickly jump over him and switch sides, but you're given a very limited time window to do this. The other charge attack causes him to jump up and land wherever the player was standing. After doing this, he'll jump up and land back in the middle. The Brooding Mawlek has a crazy 300 HP, causing him to take 60 hits before dying. After beating him, he'll explode and the gates will open up. Normally, you're given a mask shard for beating him, but since I didn't want to code that system yet, since we don't have enough mask shards to make a full mask, I'll just make him give you a buttload of Geo. Last up, we have the main and only required boss fight, this being the False Knight. In the actual game, you're able to perform a skip to exit this fight only, but I won't be coding that here for 2 reasons. First reason is because, well, I want speedrunners to suffer. Please play my map, I worked hard on this. The second reason is because due to the way I coded the room system, this wouldn't really work. So yeah, I'm not doing it. Anyway, so here's how the fight goes down. When entering the arena, he'll crash down from the ceiling and the fight will begin. He has 4 attacks. Attack number 1, he jumps
in the air either backwards or forwards. Pretty simple. I use the same snowball mechanics we used for the Brooding Mawlek to make his jump here. Attack number 2. Same thing, but he hits with his mace whenever he does the jump. This also causes some acid to fall from the ceiling. In the actual game, it's these barrels that fall down that you can hit at him, but at this point, I was just so fatigued and wanted this map to be over that I just reused the acid from the Brooding Mawlek. Okay, attack number 3. Charges up a mace attack and swings in front of him. This also causes a shockwave to go in the direction he hit. This goes through the entire arena and dissipates once it hits the wall. This is similar to the shockwave that's created when the Huskguard jumps and hits the ground. Alright, final attack, attack number 4. After knocking him down, he jumps into the center of the arena and does a major temper tantrum attack. This causes him to swing his mace like crazy and make a bunch of acid fall from the ceiling. The False Knight has a weird health system unlike the other bosses. After hitting him 13 times, he'll trip over and it will cause his helmet to fall off. This makes him vulnerable. During this phase, you can deal some damage to him. It's also the only time you can gain soul during this fight, which makes it a little more tricky. In total, he actually only has 40 health. However, the armor makes it so when he's standing up, none of your attacks deal damage, so he needs to be down for you to damage him. After dealing a third of his health, he'll put his helmet back on and get up and start attacking you again. After getting him down to 0 health, he'll perform one last temper tantrum attack where he breaks through the center of the floor, causing you to fall into the room below. Once he's down here, he won't really put up much of a fight and you can finish him off. And yeah, that's the final boss fight. After beating him, you can go and collect this chest of Geo and go onto the Ancestral Mound to beat the map. And yeah, that's the map. I'm sure you're gonna want to try this out for yourself, so here's how you can play it. After this video hits 10,000 likes, there will be a map download link that appears in the description. I use a link that puts some simple ads around the download as it's the only way I can sustain putting these downloads out for free. So in order to avoid any confusion, I put a 30-second tutorial above the video that shows you how to get through it so you don't need to worry about anything. After this, you can download the Modrinth file for Java Edition. You can then boot up the map and play it for completely free. If you want to make content on the map, go ahead, I have no issue with it. All I ask is that you credit me in whatever you make and link this video rather than the download itself. But yeah, that's really all I have to go over. If you're still here, then you most certainly enjoyed the video, and subscribing would be huge and help me out a bunch. One other thing I'm doing is opening up data pack/map commissions to make some extra money on the side. So if there's any project you would like my help on, feel free to join my Discord server and open up a ticket. Depending on how well this video does, you can expect a part 2 around the time Silksong drops in like 20 years where I'll code Greenpath. But yeah, that's really all I have to say. Goodbye forever.